Hey, what have you kind of learned about your group and maybe some of the abilities of the players you have coming back from last year?
Just getting in. Once me and Coach Miles talked, and I kind of had an idea. Started watching film on the guys, and um, ability wise, it's there. It's there, and whether it was a breakdown and their mental capacity or the communication, whatever it may have been, like the ability, the physical ability of those guys, it's impressive. And I've got an opportunity to watch a couple of workouts, just kind of sneak in and kind of peek through the window while these guys are working out, and they're working their butts off. And they have the physical ability. They have the attributes that I'm looking for. Um, Go back and watch the film last year. We did some good things up front. We just got to be able to consistently build on that and let these guys go out and play fast and play with confidence. So I'm excited. I think, you've got returning starters coming back. You didn't lose very many. Got three super seniors up front with all this COVID stuff going on. I'm excited. I'm excited about the room and building the confidence that we need to have to play a lot better this year.
Hey, Coach, what kind of advantage is there to coming in with a new OC? You start at the same time he starts. How big of an advantage can that be?
I think it's huge. With Coach Dearman being here, I was looking forward to working with him, but with Mike coming in and us kind of getting to rebuild, because you're not the one guy out of the 9 or 10 guys on the offensive side of the ball trying to catch up and learn everything as you go. And now we get to kind of start over and start forming it as a group, which I love. And so we're all kind of learning at the same pace. It's not everybody waiting for one guy to catch up and going in and watching cut ups and be like, hey, we're running blah, blah, blah to the right here. And everyone else in the room's on the same page. And I'm sitting there going through the playbook like, oh, what did we call that? And so that part of it is obviously it's good for me because it's level playing field. Either way is fine, but this way is ideal because everyone's learning at the same pace. You can go through and really go through the intricacies of the offense and answers you have for everything. And it's not just assumed that someone, picks it up and knows it. Like we actually go through and, if they're going to bring Sam Fire from the field and play cover one behind it, what are we going to do on this play? And all of us are on the same page. That way, when we go into spring ball and we're installing all this stuff, everyone's speaking the same language. So I think that's huge.
Hey, Lee, I've talked to a couple of recruits down in that College Station area that already know you. Is that an area you will recruit, and how will your past ties there help you in that area?
Well, the whole state of Texas, I think, is big for me, just being a Texas boy and playing in the Big 12. College Station is obviously near and dear to my heart. It's spent a lot of my time there. Let me think about it. 5 years in college plus 4 years. So 9 years, almost 10 years in the College Station area. So I've got to know a lot of families down there. And it just so happens that some of those families have 16, 17, 18-year-old guys that are pretty dang good at football. But I will be in the College Station area, dipping down into Southeast Texas for my local area, my actual area. And then once we identify offensive linemen and we identify them as a staff that those are guys we want to go after, I'll go anywhere in America to find them. So.
And one last question. You knew Josh Ergel before this. What kind of role did he play, and what did he tell you about the program to get you in there?
Well, Josh is a huge advocate of Les Miles, and he really didn't have to be, because when I was getting recruited out of high school, Les Miles was the Oklahoma State. He was at Oklahoma State. He was actually the first program to offer me. And I'll never forget, I'll tell this story some other day, but going up there on my first recruiting trip and getting to meet with Les. So I was already a huge fan of Les. And so Josh really didn't have to build that part up of it. But the camaraderie of the staff was big. And that was one of his major selling points. Like it's almost like a family feel atmosphere around here. And so that was a big sell for me, having a wife, having a little one, Deacon. So we want to be a part of that family atmosphere. And Josh really, besides the family atmosphere, was more of like the personnel, like, hey, we got good kids. We can win here at Kansas. And, being with him for 3 years at East Texas Baptist and building that program from the ground up, and kind of going through the growing pains of going 3-7, going 4-6, and in that third year turning it around and winning a conference championship. He knows the work that needs to go into it, and he knows that the foundation's been set. As Coach was saying earlier, there's no panic here. The foundation's set. We're going to keep building it the right way, and when you do that, you build lasting success.
Coach, speaking of foundation, could you address? Is it fair to say that the offensive line needs to be a foundation of any continued growth that everyone at the program wants to see with this team? Do you guys need to lead the way?
Absolutely. You look at any successful team in college football and football period, and you look to the guys up front. They got to be able to protect the Q when we're throwing it. They got to be able to protect the running back or the other ball carriers when they're getting the ball. So obviously that's going to be a foundation piece. One of the biggest things that I tell my guys all the time, whether I'm recruiting them, whether they're here, if you can run the football and you can stop the run, there is no game. The game's over. If they cannot stop you, they cannot defend our run game, okay, and our defense shuts down their run game, there is no game. The game's over. So obviously up front, we got to lead the way. We got to be much, much better than we were this past year, and I'm excited for it. I've never backed down from a challenge, and I'm looking forward to this one.
When you were evaluating the O-line from last year, as you were kind of maybe familiarizing yourself with everybody, was there anything you noticed that you kind of identified as, hey, this is a problem area that we really need to address?
I don't really want to single out any position. I think as a whole, we just have to get better. And probably the number one thing is everyone being on the same page. All five of you're a special group. You're the only group on the field where five guys have to work as one. And if one guy's confused, one guy's not in that group, the whole group's going to look bad. So we together as a group have to grow together, okay, and become one cohesive unit, okay, that kind of runs the show and leads the charge for our offense.
Anything else for Coach Grimes? All right. Thanks, everyone.
I'm excited. Can't wait to meet y'all in person and rock chop.